Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel 90% Native. My name is Michelle and I garden in Northern Virginia in Zone 7A. Today I want to take you on a quick tour of my cutting garden. It's probably going to be quick because it's freezing outside. I don't know what happened, but we just got our third winter, in Northern Virginia or in Virginia in general. Our weather can be crazy in the springtime. We can go from summer to the dead of winter in one day and then back. So anyway, I'm freezing, but I wanted to really take this opportunity to show you my cutting garden and my vegetable garden before it got any larger. So right here is the flower bed that I have in front of my cutting garden. And in this bed, I have pollinator friendly perennials. I have mainly native plants. I have some non-native. So in the front here I have peonies, and I have the whole bed lined with carex and fibola. And then I actually inherited from a gardening friend 3 yucca plants. Yuccas are actually native to Northern Virginia, and another name for them is Adam's needle. So I transplanted 3 into this bed, so 1 here, here, and there. This bed is generally pretty dry, and so I like to put plants that like to be on the drier side in this bed. Now over time, since I have been putting my chipped up leaves in here, which I did this weekend and I'll tell you about, lining it with cardboard, putting newspaper down, things like that, the soil has improved dramatically. So it's definitely not as dry as it used to be, but it still is drier than a lot of the areas in my yard. I have my whiskey barrel pond, which that's on the list of things to get cleaned up and ready for the season this week, if it actually warms up, which I think it's supposed to later in the week, but it's supposed to be pretty cold for the next few days. So stepping back a little bit, on the back side closer to the fence at my cutting garden, I have some steeplebush. Steeplebush typically like really wet environments, and this isn't a wet environment. And I planted them over here back when I wasn't really doing right plant, right place. They seem to be doing fine. I've taken the majority of them and moved them to the front yard in a much wetter, sunnier location. So then I have the steeplebush, and then in this area right here, this area right back here, I have rudbeckias and salvias if they want to come back up. I have, what's the one, bonariensis. I'll put it up on the screen. It's not native, but anyway, it's really pretty, and it's a big pollinator attractor. A lot of the plants I put in here are for the pollinators. I have agastache, and no, that's not agastache. I have anise hyssop, that's not native. I have irises in here. Back here, I have irises that I inherit. The plants that you pretty much don't see in here right now are the natives. So as far as natives in this bed, we have a lot of self-seeded grape blue lobelia. I have nodding onion to keep the deer away. I planted, let's see, what else? Oh, what is it? Fleabane. I'll try and remember which version it is and put it up on the screen. That's back there. It likes a drier environment. There are 3 oak leaf hydrangeas in this bed. I think that they're dead. I've moved them various times over the past couple years because of deer browse, because then they weren't in the right position. Like I put them in a really wet spot. It's a hydrangea, and then I come to find out the oak leaf hydrangea is one of the ones that don't like it as wet. So then I moved it over here, and that was the last move, and I'm not sure if they're going to come back or not, so we'll see. So this bed is really all about pollinators. I want the pollinators as close to my vegetable and cutting garden as possible. So yeah, it's what I did this weekend. Now that the temperatures had warmed up, I mean, it was really like 70 degrees every single day for a while. Now it's like 20. But anyway, what I did this weekend is I pulled all the leaves out since it's a lot later in the season and took them out, put them on my driveway. I have a Works leaf chopper, which I'll link to below, and I just throw all my leaves in there, crunch them up, and then I put them back and mulch around all my plants. So sometimes I do that chore in the fall and sometimes I do it in the spring. It really just depends on when I'm available to do it. Ideally, what I would like to do is get the majority of the leaves out of here in the fall, chop them up, put them back, and so that I don't have to do that in the spring. But we'll see what happens. I really want to make sure that I'm also thinking about the insects and the pollinators and who's hibernating and who's not and all that kind of good stuff. So there's that to consider as well. So I'll stop droning on about that, and now I'm going to take you into the cutting garden. So if you haven't seen tours of my cutting garden, my vegetable garden before, my garden is lined with Hypericum prolificum. And then in front of that, I have Carex blanda. The Hypericum prolificum, or shrubby St. John's wort, is a bumblebee attractor. So definitely something nice to have where I'm growing my cutting flowers and my vegetables. Walking into the garden, on the left I have a 4x8 raised bed. In this front 4x4 section, I have purple, blue, and white tulips, and they've come up and they're starting to get some of their buds. Also in this bed was my lazy experiment to see if my Home Depot and Lowe's dahlias would come back. So wherever you see the bamboo stakes, that is where I had a dahlia staked up last season, and that tuber is still in the ground. And when you see these flats around my beds, those are the native plants that I winter sowed. Walking back a bit to this 4x4 bed, here is where I am supposed to have for the spring purple, blue, and gray poppies, and also blue scabiosa. So I definitely see the poppies coming up. I don't, however, see the scabiosa. I have some growing downstairs. I don't think I had a lot of germination, so this particular back part of the bed might be a little sparse, but we should have some nice poppies here. Then I got a new arch that I wanted to try out this year for all of the beans, the Kajari melons, and the Cuca melons, the Mexican gherkins, to grow over the trellis. This looks like it's going to actually be perfect. I wanted to try one first before buying 3 more. So I'm going to buy 3 more to have in front, to go in front of this one. So here, here, and here. Okay, so let's go to the back 12x4 bed. So in this first 4x4 section, I have red tulips. These tulips will be red and white or just solid red. I also have red poppies in here, and they're starting to seed up there. And then in the back, that's where I'm going to put my red snapdragons, which are in my kitchen. I pulled them in because of the really cold weather, so but they will go here as soon as the weather clears and gets a little warmer. And then over to the left side of this bed, I have my brassicas. So in this first grow bag here, I have burgundy broccoli. And then I have cauliflower, SBY, I think it's called like Snowbell Y or Snowball Y. Behind that I have broccoli rabe, and then dino kale, and finally in this grow bag I have red Russian kale. In the back of both the kales I have sweet peas. There's specific sweet peas from the UK that I ordered from Sarah Raven's site a few years ago. I'll put the name up on the screen for you, but sweet peas are supposed to be good companion plants for kale. I've been doing some research on that this spring. Unfortunately, I can't remember exactly why. So what I'll do is when I'm editing this video, I'll put the reason why I put the sweet peas with the kale, what that is supposedly supposed to do as a companion plant. I know that I'm also going to put some other companion plants in here as well. So I'll update you as I do that. Oh, and then yeah, and then this, in this little pot is wild garlic. I might be putting some of those in the brassica grow bags because I think that they detract. There are some properties of the wild garlic that detract. I'm not sure if it's a cabbage whitefly or something else, but anyway, that's why I still have it over here. Actually, it should be over here. The other thing that I'm going to do here in this section is I bought insect netting, and I am going to put a bamboo cane in the middle of each of the grow bags. I'm going to put probably a bamboo stake, maybe this tall. This is probably 4 feet tall. And then I'm going to wrap and secure the insect netting around there so that I can keep the cabbage white butterflies off of those brassicas. And then in case you happen to notice this, there's way more native plants that I winter sowed all up and down here. A lot of them are Virginia bluebells, and we also have Virginia strawberry. Here you can see the bluebells are starting to sprout. I have some of the white snake roots starting to sprout, and some of these I believe you saw me potting up. Let's see what else. Nothing too obvious. This is supposed to be wood reed grass, but I definitely see some seeds in there, or some weeds in there. Okay. Oh, and as far as support for these sweet peas, I'm just gonna have them run right up this fencing. So there is the red bed. Moving on to the orange bed. My tulips are coming up and looking great. And so in the front there, oh, 1 second, sorry. Just to go back to the red bed, I am going to interplant black velvet nasturtiums, red nasturtiums all through there. And they will be shaded by the other plants that are there throughout the season. So I'm hoping that the nasturtiums last longer and look better than normal, because when I usually put them in the front of the bed and they kind of spill over a little bit, I think they get way too much sun. So I'm doing that a little bit different this year. Okay, so moving to the red bed here, or the orange bed, sorry. Here, this bed will also be interplanted with orange nasturtiums, and so I'll likely do a lot of the Empress of India, and then I believe there's a Phoenix nasturtium that I got that I'll put in here as well. But up in the front here, I have orange tulips, and then I have California poppies, orange California poppies. And then in this row right here, I'm going to put my orange snapdragons, which are temporarily inside the house. They should come out later this week. And these back here, I'm not actually sure what those are because I don't think I planted those this year. I think they're left over from last year. So those are the ornamental alliums. Okay, and then moving down to the yellow bed. Obviously the yellow bed because my daffodils are blooming and are looking fantastic. Let me move these ones. My yellow daffodils. This bed, the nasturtiums that'll go in this bed, which you've probably heard me talk about, are the butterscotch nasturtiums. And then I have yellow tulips behind these daffodils. And then there's supposed to be white poppies in here. I don't see any. Maybe they'll come out, maybe they won't. I don't know. Oops, looks like we had a squirrel in here. They just love messing with me. In the back, that is a native Rudbeckia. I think it's Rudbeckia triloba. It's really cool, frothy type Rudbeckia in the fall. Hopefully these white poppies will start sprouting. If not, oh well. Okay, and now to the right of the yellow bed, I have some of my vegetables. So here I have some alpine strawberries, which are great. I'll just keep those in a pot. I'm actually going to do a lot more native strawberries here in the cutting garden so that I can actually harvest them. I have native Virginia strawberries all throughout the landscape, not necessarily for harvesting. So I'm going to do a lot more of that here. Back in that corner, I will put another 10-gallon grow bag. But then in this 10-gallon grow bag, I have magnolia blossom snap peas, and then I have mesclun lettuce, and then I also have merlot lettuce. And if you happen to notice on the brassica side of the cutting garden, I have a lot of these grow bags mulched with my chopped up leaves. And the grow bags that didn't have enough room for the chopped up leaves, I just left more of a green mulch. So then in the next grow bag here, I have sugar magnolia snap peas, and then I have some spinach, oceanside spinach. And in front of those, I have Easter egg radishes and French breakfast radishes. In this little pot, just a FYI, are some native coral honeysuckles, which I'm just rooting here, and hopefully just spread throughout the landscape as they take root. This is a view of the cutting garden from the back corner where my yellow bed is. And so in this first 4x4 bed moving up to the front, I am supposed to have in this back 4x4 section a giant rattle poppies, salmon rose scabiosa, giant rattle poppies and scabiosa salmon rose. I don't see any of those popping up right now. Well, there's something. There's a couple little things in there. So we may have to switch gears. I do know that the scabiosa salmon rose is not germinating that well downstairs. So this bed along this salmony pink purple bed along with the blue bed over there might need a rethink before I get going much longer. Just if you happen to notice in front of this bed or behind it, depending on your angle, here's some Virgin's Bower, some Virginia clematis that I am rooting. And then here is a flat full of golden Alexanders. Right here are the 5 native red mulberries that I potted up that I want to figure out if they're male or female so then I can put them within throughout the landscape. That's definitely something that I am starting to focus more on, is native plant agriculture. So hopefully those will tell me what sex they are, and I got to figure out how to tell. But anyways, then in front of that we have my coffee, and we have poppy supremes are supposed to be in here. I see a few of those sprouting. They're really, really beautiful, so I'm hoping I do get a few of those. So there's the poppy supreme, and then this bed has pink tulips, and yeah, basically just pink tulips and poppy supreme. And then over here you'll notice a self-sown or sowed golden Alexander. I'll move that out into the landscape soon here. Over here in this corner bed, I need to put fill it up to the top with compost. I think I'm going to put herbs in there, and purple hyacinth bean. And what else there was something else. Oh, maybe some calendula and some alyssum. So some of those great plants that deter pests. In front of that I have a little pot of thyme and then rosemary. Here is my pot full of oregano, more for the pollinators than anything else. These two pots will have, one will have holy basil and one will likely have borage. Maybe not on the borage, I don't know. And then I have some winter sown, I believe this is anise. No, it's not. It's anise hyssop for the pollinators. Oh, and I didn't mention this other corner bed here in the back. That also needs to be filled up with compost to the top, and it will have the same thing as the other corner bed. So it'll be probably purple hyacinth bean, some herbs, and some different flowers that deter pests or potentially attract pests away from my vegetables, because this cutting garden will be full of interplanted vegetables, as well as the cutting flowers, because I do want to have more of a focus on food this year. Okay, so I'll take you right outside of my cutting garden to my quote-unquote cold frames and my hopefully deer resistant vegetables. So I've showed you the cold frames before. Here are a lot of sunny native. They're not cold frames. Eventually maybe they will, I don't know. They're just there for me to store things that I winter sow. But these are tons of natives that like the sun. So I have purple coneflower in there, little blue stem, big blue stem, mountain mint, sneezeweeds, asters, let's see, button bush, other types of grass other than big blue stem and little blue stem. I have cuttings of various things like sweet shrub, Carolina allspice, and I also have steeple bush. And this one, these are more of the shady native plants. So I have nodding onion ramps. Here are some ramps here. I got those as roots. We have tall bellflower. Over here we have some elderberries, little baby elderberries. Here are some more. This would be second year Virginia bluebells. This is a whole flat of second year button bushes. The nodding onions are behind those. Yeah, so that's in this frame. And then next to this frame are some of my more deer resistant vegetables. So in this 5-gallon grow bag, I have early scarlet radishes. And then next to that, I have Walla Walla onions interplanted with Tonda di Perighi carrots. Next to that bed or that grow bag, I have cherry bell radishes. This grow bag has Cabernet onions and Parisian carrots in there, which are the carrots are just starting to emerge. And then in this 10-gallon bag, I have rutabaga and what is this? White Lisbon bunching onions. Now, some of you may see some of this and say, oh, that's not enough space for those vegetables or those, you know, that's fine. I am trying to learn more about vegetables, and I'm also trying to do things in a way that suits the small space that I have for sun. I don't have a lot of sun. I have a lot of shade in my yard. And so that suits the small amount of sun that I have, and also makes growing vegetables easy for me because I do have a lot going on with my native plants, and you know, just what works for me and my condition. Okay, so let me step back and I'm going to show you this small area that I have for sun loving plants. Ooh, it's cold outside. So here you go, my cutting garden, the frames, and then the deer resistant vegetables behind there. I'm hoping to get, which you probably heard me say like 3,000 times at this point, get those cold frames out of there down by the trampoline, and then use this whole section for deer resistant. I mean, nothing is actually deer resistant, right? But as deer resistant as I can get vegetables on the outside of the cutting garden. The deer have stayed out of the cutting garden until, actually the first time they got into the cutting garden was this winter, and I think it's because I put cover crop down and they were in there, and I had to fix my fence because I scared them out, which was a little stressful situation because I was worried they were going to get hurt as well trying to get out, but they haven't been back, so that's good. Anyway, this is my cutting garden. So guys, that's it for today as far as my cutting garden tour goes. I hope you enjoyed it. If you are growing any cool vegetables that you want to share with me, any cool flowers, or any tips and tricks that you have, I'd love to hear from you. I will see you again next time.